All right, Hans, imagine that. The Supreme Court determined that temporary means temporary. That was shocking development last week.
Well, it was, but there was also another very significant thing. The law setting up TPS, Mark, specifically says there shall be no judicial review of any decision by a president to grant or terminate it. And yet all these lower courts, jumped in and issued injunctions, even though the statute says they can't do that.
Yeah, it's weird because, I listened to CNN this weekend, and Jake Tapper was really jumping on Mark Wayne Mullen over this. Well, Haiti's not safe, and they've got a high murder rate, and they're this and they're that, and he got done, and it was just silence. And Mullen said, is there a question there, Jake? I mean, the ruling by the Supreme Court had nothing to do with what the conditions are really in Haiti. It's a technical question of whether or not their status here is temporary or permanent.
No, that's exactly right. And it wasn't up to look, there's all these folks criticize the Supreme Court, including the three liberal justices, because of that issue. Oh, conditions are terrible. Hey, that wasn't up to the Supreme Court to decide. All they were deciding was, can the president, under the statute, do this? Whether or not it's a wise idea, good idea, that's not up to the Supreme Court to decide, although the three libs on the court apparently thought that they ought to be able to overrule the president's foreign policy and immigration decision.
Yeah, well, I've looked at this again, and I was under the impression, you can please school me on this, I was under the impression that the Supreme Court suggested to the lower courts, you can't just go in and put a temporary injunction on something the President of the United States has decided to do. Yet again and again and again, I read cases where, well, the lower court just permanently enjoined Donald Trump from doing something. What am I missing here?
No, you're not missing anything, and that obviously is an irritant. Justice Alito actually, more subtly, but he talked about that, about how in some of these other TPS cases they dissolved injunctions, and yet the lower courts just kept issuing. This was a good decision, but it also was a decision that tells you how out of control the federal judges are at these lower levels, particularly almost exclusively recent Biden appointees. They are the ones that are continuing to basically defy the law when they issue these injunctions.
Right.
Hans, this will certainly be a really big week for the Supreme Court. They, extended the session for a few more days into this week. There are 8 cases left that they have to drop, some of which are huge.
Yeah, they are. Birthright citizenship, whether the president can fire the heads of some of these so-called independent federal agencies, whether states that are banning biological males from participating in women's sports, whether they can do that in federal elections, whether states can continue to receive and count absentee ballots after Election Day. Those are all cases we're waiting for decisions on.
Yeah, do you have a feel for the birthright case? I mean, I kind of want to pull the reins back on my own thoughts here, because I'm hopeful for some reason that because it's taken them so long to reach the decision that it might go Trump's way. But I know when the arguments were made, nobody believed that would happen.
Yeah, I do have to say I'm pessimistic, but like you, I'm hoping that they actually will do the right thing. I don't know if it's a sign, but remember, the last 2 weeks they've released not just that TPS decision, but they've released several immigration cases, and in every single one of them, they sided with the Trump administration and said that he was properly interpreting the law. And I hope that's what happens here.
Now, having to extend it like this, do you think that just this means that they're having a hard time coming to what does this normally indicate, would you say?
No, they often leave their toughest, most controversial decisions until the very end. We recently heard that some of the liberal justices have been intentionally and deliberately withholding their dissenting opinions in order to try to delay decisions they don't like.
Wow. I mean, here we go again. Just quickly while I've got you on here, because I think this happened after we talked to you last week. The Second Amendment decision, like in Hawaii, I'm waiting. Yeah. I keep waiting for the court to take up one of these AR-15 bans, like in Illinois. I guess we won't know until next term if they're going to accept one of those.
Well, that's right. Although we might find out over the summer, even though they take a summer recess, they continue to make decisions throughout the summer on whether they're going to accept another case. Yeah, that gun case out of Hawaii was a terrific win for the Second Amendment and for people who have concealed carry permits across the country.
Yeah, very true. Well, Hans, we always love having you on and your common sense approach to this. Advancing American Freedom, Senior Legal Fellow Hans von Spakovsky. Have a great week.